There's a truth you'll hate to hear. No one cares how skilled you are. They only care whether you project certainty. People with less talent than you win because they don't flinch. They talk as if they write the rules. They move as if the world owes them recognition. And the crowd buys it instantly. You? You wait for a signal. You scan faces. You hunt for a nod. In that hesitation, your chances get stolen. It isn't talent that splits winners from losers. It's certainty. It isn't truth that gets heard. It's the voice that dares to declare. Here's your first mistake: believing others will naturally see your value. They won't. They only see signals. And you've been signaling like someone asking for permission. Machiavelli knew this 5 centuries ago. The bold take space even when they lack skill. The hesitant lose even when they're brilliant. Power doesn't wait for you to prove yourself. It flows toward the one who never apologizes for taking it. This isn't a comforting video. It's a blade pressed to your chest. Today you'll learn how to kill the inner servant, that reflex that bows, that waits, that asks. From here on, you'll talk less, hold more silence, and enter rooms as if they already belong to you. The question: will you keep living like a loyal dog, or learn to walk like a ruler?
Diagnosis: kill the inner servant. You're not weak. You've been programmed to act weak. Since childhood, you were taught to ask before you do, to explain when questioned, to soften yourself to be accepted. Repeat that long enough, and you start believing survival equals pleasing. That's not instinct. That's a program. The program's name: inner servant. He whispers every time opportunity appears. Don't be too sure. Don't be too firm. Explain yourself. They'll understand. The result? You volunteer as a tool. No one has to take you down. You lower yourself. Real-world example: a team meeting. The boss asks, "Is the deadline this week realistic?" Your inner servant pushes you to say, "Maybe, if we're lucky, I'll try." You just lost position. The room hears hesitation, not data. Someone else jumps in, "I'll deliver. We ship Friday." Who gets belief? Not you. Lesson: the inner servant isn't a voice to negotiate with. It's a figure to execute. How? With a small ritual. Every time you want to add, "Maybe, I think," just cut it. Every time you want to over-explain, stop. Every time you want to apologize, swallow it. With every cut, the servant weakens. There's no bargaining with the slave in your head. Either you kill him or he kills your authority. And when the servant dies, what emerges? A new identity. Not nice, not pleasant, precise. The person who never confuses kindness with being used. That leads to the next part: identity by opposition. Not nice, precise. Don't try to be likable. Likable people are tools, used, squeezed, then replaced. You don't need to be nice. You need to be precise. Power isn't in how often you're praised. It's in how often you refuse. Not how many people like you, but how many get cautious when your name comes up. Real-world example: on a date, she says, "You're too serious." The nice guy laughs, explains, proves he can be fun. The precise man answers, "That's how you see it." Stop. No correction, no permission seeking. Result: the frame shifts. She has to remeasure your position. Common mistakes: oversharing to earn sympathy, justifying every small action, using sorry as a period. These are traps. You think you're building trust. You're only proving one thing: you have no boundaries. Lesson: a Machiavellian identity isn't built on promises. It's forged by opposition. Not soft, firm. Not seeking acceptance, controlling access. Every no is a brick in your fortress of authority. From here, you talk less,
But when you speak, each word carries the weight of a verdict. No more questions, no more explanations, only conclusions. For that, you need the next weapon, voice of finality. Sound like the end.
Volume doesn't create power. Gravity creates power. The weak shout to be heard. The strong slow down to be obeyed. Your current voice, high, rushed, anxious. It advertises that you're waiting for approval. Result? Every sentence becomes a request. That's not the voice of command. That's the voice of service. You need an ending voice, each line like a steel period. No room for debate. No dangling tone inviting cross-examination. Real-world example. Heated meeting. Colleagues argue loudly over 3 options. The weak say, I think, maybe, option B, if everyone agrees? Useless. The strong wait, then drop 8 words. We'll go with B, end of discussion. No quarrel, no permission. Everyone stalls, not because of logic, but because his voice closed the menu. Common mistakes, softeners, I think, maybe, does that make sense? Uptalk, ending statements like questions. Filling the air non-stop to self-protect. Lesson? Vocal power comes from slowing down, dropping pitch, and stopping clean. You don't need many sentences. You need the last sentence, the one that tilts the room. Practice. Lower pitch 10%. Slow your tempo 20%. Hold a 2-second pause after every declaration. Let silence do the rest. The crowd will start defending your point for you. Once your voice carries gravity, the next step is to make your presence heavy enough to control a room without words. That's the next art. Cold presence. Control the room without talking. The average person tries to occupy space with noise. Powerful people occupy the room with silence. It isn't loudness that makes others comply. It's a quiet they can't decode. When you enter, people read you before they hear you. Posture, tempo, eyes. That sets status, not the speech you rehearsed. Cold presence checklist. Walk slow, never rush. Shoulders back, chest open, chin level. Hands still, no air-drawing circles. Eye contact approximately 60%, broken by cool indifference. Pause 2 seconds at the doorway before sitting. Breathe from the diaphragm, steady tempo. Real-world example. Sales negotiation. The other side pushes hard, floods the air. You don't jump in, no frown. You flip to a page, read 1 line, then say 3 words. Price stands firm. Silence. Result? It's no longer a negotiation. It's an ultimatum without a shout. Common mistakes. Smiling socially too much. Pen tapping, leg bouncing, darting eyes. Talking over people to fill gaps. Lesson? Mouth follows body. Body follows breath. Whoever controls breathing controls the room. No need to raise your voice. Just exist as if time slows around you. Once you can command a room without speaking, you level up. But the next test is harsher. What do you do when attacked? You do not defend. That's when you deploy the next strategy. Anti-defense protocol. Refuse the frame.
Every attack begins with a trap. forcing you to explain. The moment you explain, you've already lost. You step into the defendant's box and admit they own the bench. The Machiavellian never defends. He rejects the frame, doesn't play their game, forces them into his. The 90-second protocol. 0 to 10 seconds, silence, belly breath, no flinch. 10 to 45 seconds, identify their real aim. Do they want facts or to pull you down? 45 to 90 seconds, precision cut, short, cold, final, then redirect. Real-world example. Zoom meeting. A manager lunges. Your project lacks transparency. Explain. The weak fall in, open files, justify, ramble. The Machiavellian looks straight and says, show the metric you're using. The attack frame collapses. The burden flips. Common mistakes. Answering the loaded question as asked. Talking too much to clear your name. Softening tone to beg for sympathy. Lesson: don't argue. Don't apologize. Shift the frame. Whoever controls the frame controls the outcome. That's the law. When you stop defending, you become a threat. They can't hook your reactions. But power isn't only frame refusal. It's total control of your inner weather. Next, emotional unreachability. Feel everything, show nothing. People are easy to control, not because they're dumb, but because they leak emotion. One compliment makes them soft. One insult makes them flare. One silence makes them spiral. Result, they become puppets for anyone who knows which strings to pull. You want power? Become unreachable. No one gets to your buttons. This doesn't mean numbness. You still feel. You still burn. You still want. But you don't show it. You keep it inside a fortress and open the gate only when it serves your aim. Playbook. Trigger journal. Log 3 situations that make you leak emotion. Know your inside enemy. Rule of delay. Slow every emotional response by 30 to 120 seconds. Long enough to turn impulse into choice. Neutral face drill. Praise, insult, provocation, face stays still. Only the eyes observe. Real-world example. On social media, someone comments, "You're a joke." The weak type a long clapback and drop status. The unreachable writes a single word, "Noted." Then silence, no opening. Common mistakes. Reacting fast, advertising that it hurt. Explaining to get comfort. Softening tone to beg for sympathy. Lesson: cold isn't lack of feeling. Cold is acting only when it profits you. When they can't read you, they fear you. When they don't know what moves you, they lose the only tool to steer you. And once no one can budge you, you're ready for the higher game, turning rejection into leverage. Next, rejection alchemy, from no to power.
The weak hear rejection and collapse. The strong hear rejection and smirk, because they know no isn't a knife, it's data. Rejection is never personal, it's just positioning. People reject you because they believe they can live without you. Good. Now you know exactly where you stand on the power map. The 4-step alchemy. No visible pain, no frown, no pitch change. Let them think it didn't touch you. Withdraw presence. Disappear without explanation. Absence does the work. People only value what slips from their grip. Rewrite the story. You weren't rejected. You exited a game too small. They weren't strong enough to keep you. Return when the leverage flips. No warning. No revenge. Just show up when the outcome already favors you. Real-world example. An employee asks for promotion. denied. The weak beg for another chance, plead for feedback. The Machiavellian vanishes 3 months, crushes KPIs, brings numbers to the table, then says 9 words. We'll revisit compensation. Numbers speak now. Game over. Common mistakes. Begging, again. Writing long emotional appeals. Becoming the pursuer. Lesson. Rejection sharpens you. It shows who's blind, who's weak, who misjudged your worth. No anger, no sulking. Just record it and prepare. Because the truly dangerous man isn't the one who retaliates instantly. It's the one who turns silence into strategy. From that silence, power grows, which leads to the next step, controlled access. Build power, not popularity. The weak beg to be invited. The strong choose who gets in. Not everyone deserves access to you. Power doesn't come from being liked, it comes from being hard to reach. Rule: don't chase acceptance, control access. Every time you're always available, you devalue yourself. Every unconditional yes erases your boundaries, and no one respects a man with no borders. Tactics: calendar gate. Fixed slots only. No squeezing people in. They orbit your schedule, not the other way around. 3 circles. Inner, 3 people, 24/7 access. Active, 10 people. Access if the calendar is open. General, everyone else waits in line, if they're lucky. Real-world example. An old acquaintance asks, "Coffee sometime? I just want to pick your brain." The weak nods, wasting 2 hours. The Machiavellian replies, "Send agenda, 15 minutes, Friday." It's no longer an invite, it's a filter. If they bring value, they show. If not, they vanish. Common mistakes. Instant replies to texts. Always available, always ready. Lending time, energy, credibility without thought. Lesson. You don't need to be loved. You need to be counted on. To be counted on, you must have value. Value comes from scarcity. Fewer appearances, fewer yeses, more no's, to the right people at the right moment. That's the difference between a man seeking approval and a man running the game. The first gets called when they need entertainment. The second gets called when they need decisions. Once you've made yourself rare, you need one more supreme skill: knowing when silence fails and how to recover. That's next. Boundaries and recovery when silence fails.
Silence is a weapon, but every weapon has a limit. Sometimes silence doesn't create gravity, it creates suspicion. In a legal crisis, technical breakdown, or safety issue, if you stay quiet, you die. Not because others are stronger, but because you left a void for them to define you. Machiavellians aren't blindly mute. They know when to shut up and when to speak. When silence backfires, public crisis, leaks, outages. Legal cases, law requires disclosure. Safety issues, lives at stake. In those moments, you don't vanish, you reset the frame. Reset frame protocol. Confirm clearly, no spin. Incident confirmed. State facts, no emotion, no defense. Root cause under review, ETA 12ATH. Decision, patch releases at 1600. Timeline, set the clock so the room waits for you, not for rumors. Real-world example, a tech company's server crashes. The weak deny, deflect, blame. Trust collapses. The Machiavellian enters for 30 seconds. Incident confirmed. Root cause T-12 ATH. Patch 1600. Post-mortem Friday. Short, cold,
Enough. The chaos freezes. Common mistakes: denying, finger-pointing, vague language like maybe, hopefully, should be. Lesson: power isn't absolute silence. Power is selective speech. Shut up when you want control. Speak when you need to frame. And when you know when to stay silent and when to speak, you're ready for the final stage, turning strategy into measurable habit. That's the 21-day Machiavellian program, metrics or myth. Ideas don't make you dangerous. Habits do. Without measurement, without training, you're just consuming content like every other weakling. Machiavellians don't trust motivation. They trust protocol. 21 days, measured, disciplined, emotionless. Week 1. Identity kill switch. No softener diet. Cut all weak words, maybe, I think, just. Every slip, restate without them. Silence reps. In 3 conversations daily, cap replies at 9 words. End with 2 to 3 seconds of silence. Gaze triangle. Left eye to right eye to mouth. 3 seconds each. No quick blinking. Week 2. Voice and presence. Pitch drop drill. Read aloud 10 minutes daily. Lower pitch 10%. Slow tempo 20%. Entry pause. Stop 2 seconds at every doorway before entering. Talk, listen ratio. Speak less than 40%. Rest is silence and observation. Week 3. Power moves. Anti-defense protocol. Practice 3 times weekly. Under attack, use a precision cut instead of explaining. Rejection alchemy. After rejection, rewrite the story with 1 cold line. Not my game. Controlled access. Refuse at least 1 invite daily. No apology. End of 21 days deliverables. 1 KPI sheet. Average pitch, HZ, softener count per 1,000 words, reaction latency, second, silence length, second, weekly no count. Common mistake: trying to do it all at once. Wrong. No Machiavellian empire was built overnight. Layer by layer, cut by cut. Lesson: if you don't measure, you're dreaming. If you don't record, you're not changing. Power isn't born from promises. It's born from the numbers you discipline into yourself. By the end of 21 days, you won't need to announce it. People will feel it. You'll talk less, move slower, radiate colder, and carry more danger.
You've walked the entire path, killing the inner servant, building identity through opposition, forging the voice of finality, creating cold presence, refusing the frame, becoming unreachable, turning rejection into leverage, controlling access, and drilling 21 days of iron discipline. This is Machiavelli's legacy. Power doesn't come from noise. It doesn't come from being liked. It comes from cold consistency, from the ability to stay silent when needed and to cut clean when forced to speak. Not everyone will understand you. They don't need to, because fear and respect are stronger currencies than approval. But here's the final truth. External power isn't enough if the inside remains chaotic. To turn silence into a true weapon, you need a mind cleansed of static, an inner core untouched by petty emotion. This is where I introduce Ho'oponopono certification, the online training taught by Dr. Joe Vitale, Dr. E. Haleakala Hel-Len, and Matthew Dixon. Over 6 hours of video lessons, a detailed guidebook, and an international certificate from the Global Sciences Foundation. More than a Hawaiian cleansing method, it's a system to purge negative emotions, repair relationships, and hold inner calm in the middle of chaos. The value? $39, less than a single dinner, with a 60-day money-back guarantee. No risk. But the return? A mind unshakable. If you want to be not only strong on the outside, but untouchable within, this is your next step. Remember, Machiavelli never taught you to be likable. He taught you to be irreplaceable. The world doesn't belong to the most talented. It belongs to the coldest, to those who don't need to be understood, only remembered. You've learned how to walk like a ruler. Now learn how to stand still like a legend.